Okay, here we are. I had to start the video over again. Had to go and shave. I was looking rough. Still looking rough, but that's what I look like. 16th of October. Cheers. I want to start off the video by shouting out a couple of folks. It's nice to see, Dan, that you are watch the videos. You may not catch this one, but I want to shout you out. Dan is I'm in RAF with Dan, and he was one of the fellows. He and Kelly joined the band years after we had started. They revived the band. I've always liked Dan, but since the passing of Kelly, really come to really appreciate Dan. I really appreciate you, Dan. I like you. I've always liked you, but you really seem like a solid human being to me. And I appreciate your honesty, too. So, it's funny, he was saying he doesn't watch me, but he listens to me at work. Wonder what some other folks, if they happen to hear it, what is he listening to? Hope you have a good day, Dan, whenever you see this. I see that Gary is watching me. Gary, Two Sticks. Hello, Gary. It's nice to be on a record with Gary. He sings on Cloud Over Jupiter's new album, Atomic Jupiter. Hey, Gary. So, what's new? Well, the latest is I am this next release for November is coming slower than the one that I did in October. That one just bam! I just went through actually one folder because I had a couple things in mind already, but I went through one particular folder and found enough material to compile that release. This one, I've decided I'm going to go ahead and let loose at least one or two of the pieces that are newer, that are really not finished, but their finish is not apparent to me yet. I went back and was listening to some stuff all the way back to 2013 and was discovering things like, oh, that could use this now and use that. So that's happening. Some of that may end up on what I put out in a couple of weeks, but that's what's mostly going on. Tinkering, editing, mixing, and adding a few parts. Not surprised to hear from a few different folks about The Cure yesterday. The Cure is a band that they're a huge band. You know, they're so big that I don't even think they have a label. They can afford to put the stuff out on their own. Robert Smith is rich. Yeah, he's authentic, but I think there's a lot of folks who are authentic who are not perceived as authentic, who are just as authentic as him. But it don't matter, does it? It don't matter. We all have differing opinions, and it's fun to share the music. That's what it is. Okay, so what came up musically yesterday? Well, first off, let me go back to where I left off, which was I was in the M's trying to dig up my Museo Rosenbach, which I finally did. There it is. This is a reissue. Again, this is one of those albums that's like it's just really expensive to get an original. Don't need one, although it would be nice to have. This is a high watermark for Italian progressive rock, even without having played it recently. I remember that about it. It's just, they really get it right on this album. But it also showed how badly out of order my records are. I did take the time to play this, the Mutton Gun, because it's like I couldn't remember it. This is good. This is good. This is noisy rock. Interesting that Justin Harewood, who was in the Chills for a while, plays on this, but nothing like the Chills. somewhere along the lines of Sonic Youth, World Domination Enterprises, the pop group, the Membranes, stuff like that. I love that cover. Isn't that cool? I love it. The other, I'm going to pull them. Did I put them away? Dang it, I did. I'm going to pull them again. Because down there in the M's, which I still actually have not configured because it's all out of order. I went ahead and pulled these. Music Electronica Viva, Leave the City. This is an original on Big. The reissues are actually desirable because the original pressings of these Bigs mostly are really bad. Music Electronica Viva. This is real. You're seeing it on the back. This is the true sound of hippiedom at the end of the 60s. Even though this says electronica, there's as much droning and singing and playing of percussion, maybe even more so than you're hearing electronic elements. This, as I listened to this, it took me back to, again, my teen years and how my dad was plugged into the underground as a jazz musician. And he had friends who I would go with him for various reasons I don't remember, probably while he was scoring weed and I was a kid and didn't know it. But we'd go to these hippie houses where people would be dressed like this, playing music like this, half naked or sometimes fully naked, living the hippie life. And that's the sound of this. Really, really good, really cool. And this one as well. The Sound Pool. This is a reissue, so it's nice pressing. There is a lot of droning and chanting as well as electronics on here. It's wild. I really like this stuff. And it is a throwback. I do hear a sense of time on this. This does sound timely, like it wasn't made today, even though improvisation is just pulling things out of the air, but there's a sense of time when I hear this. And I played all three of these. I took a break from editing and really enjoyed listening to these and a couple other records. Spacecraft by Musica Electronica Viva. This is an after the fact issue. Color vinyl, I believe. Color vinyl, yeah. A nice green. Really good stuff. Real good stuff. Yeah. What else? Well, I have a few more records to show. This is out because I was going to post the single that came with it. I didn't post it yesterday. Everclear. Live on the radio. Now, the reason why I have this is I'm not a fan of Everclear. I'm not. I respect what they did, but it's because of the drummer, Greg Eklund. He and his wife, his family moved to Omaha, and they were here for a couple of years, and we were introduced, and we hit it off. We've released a single together, a digital single, and he gave me these records. He gave this to me in their other album. Really good guy. Real genuine. And there's another example of someone who could easily be misperceived by the public if they don't know, if all they know is about his work as a commercially successful rock artist. He's a good guy. He's a good person. I'm glad to know him. Glad to call him a friend. So I'm not exactly sure how I got off on this tangent, but something sparked my interest to pull my Tully albums. Tully from Australia, 70s, Sea of Joy. This is a soundtrack. And a bit of an enigma band. When I look up their history, it looks like there was an aspect of religiosity to some of the members here. It's reflected in some of the lyrics. Some of the lyrics are really naive and cringeworthy about love is the answer. I mean, basically, really that simple. Love will find a way. I mean, it's lovely, but the way it's sung, it's like, you can't be serious, but they are. But what's cool about the band is that apparently there was a lot of improvisation involved in their music making. The record's this originally came out on Harvest, so this is a mock-up. A mock-up. So the albums, I have 3 of them. I'll show all 3. The albums are interesting because they're not consistently what they are. There'll be these singing songs and kind of sing around the campfire. And then the next thing is a flute-led improvisation that's really good. Here's another one of their albums, Loving is Hard. And on this one, there's a female vocalist. It's interesting. On side 1, it's okay. Side 2, it's good. It's like almost like something happened between side 1 and side 2 of this album. This is the one where love can make you. Cringeworthy lyrics, but really good music. Interesting. Trying to think who could I compare them to from the 70s, and no one's coming to mind. That's kind of good, actually. And then I think this is their first album, and I like that cover too, Tully. This really sounds like a first album. I love these old records. I just love these old records. Tully. Now, also interesting, another shout out. He may not see this, but John McCrae, who is I've never met, but we're basically internet friends. He's sent me music over the years. He has an amazing prog collection that I see online. He sent this to me, and this was out of order, but the name of the band is Mushroom, and so this should have come up yesterday. It was out of order. So when I was trying to straighten things out a little bit there, I went ahead and pulled it and played it. Now this is an example of a progressive rock band where it's like, this is, to me, so-so. There's folk elements. There's that kind of singing that I don't care for. And it's almost like, I don't know, I listened to a whole side of it, and parts of it were good, and then there was other parts like, man, this is just so simple and elemental. This isn't progressive. But I appreciate, if you see this, John, I appreciate the fact that you thought enough of me to even send it to me, because I didn't have it. It didn't have the 7-inch with it, though. I noticed that. No biggie, eh? So, and to wrap up on music, I'm about to go. I listened to the other album of this, Non-Keen. All good. Yeah, this is sweet. All instrumental, it flows. It's not all ambient. It's very active in parts. It's not jazzy, but it's good playing. It just sounds so good. So good. So I want to make one comment about current events, because it's on my mind. But one of the reasons why I am so focused on politics and angered by it is how the blatant double standard which some people are trying to point out. Besides me, there's people in the media people in politics trying to point it out, and yet the corporate owned, rich people owned media side with the lie. The inherent otherism of Trumpism just irks me, because it's the root of it is racism, otherism. It's not a race war, but they are able to dupe stupid, ignorant white people into making this a race war for them, when it's actually a class war. They don't give a fuck about anybody. And it's just enraging to just watch this go on and on. So successfully have we been divided by misinformation and low emotions, low and negative emotions. It's very frustrating to see that we could very possibly end up with Trump in the White House again. That's insane. And yet here we are. Oh well. Oh well. Have a good day.